Every year there is a Solstice festival in Yulin, China. Now that sounds really pleasant, right? Except for the fact that thousands of dogs are tortured and then they're killed for food. Now, of course, it's a long-standing tradition in China to eat dog meat, and it's a cultural thing, and I know that there are a lot of people that are critical of that cultural element of their society. However, the big problem with this festival is the imagery that we've seen of these dogs being tortured prior to them being killed for meat. Now, one woman has actually spent a considerable amount of money in order to save these dogs. In fact, this year alone, a 65-year-old woman by the name of Yang has rescued over 100 dogs from the festival that took place on Sunday. Now, she had to travel 1,500 miles from her home in order to do this. She has rescued animals since 1995, and she founded a dog and cat sanctuary known as the Common Home for All. She's taken hundreds of animals and has sold her home in order to be able to afford to do what she's doing. She's a huge animal lover, and she's trying to make a point about how this is not something that she's in favor of. This is something that should stop in their society as soon as possible. Now, dog meat does have historical precedent in China. As I mentioned earlier, the tradition of eating dog meat dates back 400 or 500 years in China, South Korea, and other countries. Now, this festival is relatively new. It started back in 2009, and so some are wondering whether or not it even makes sense for them to continue, considering some of the poor treatment some of these animals have dealt with. So this is a very complicated story. I don't believe in the torture of any type of animal. I know here in the United States we do torture animals before we kill them for meat, and I do my best to try to research and prevent myself from eating meat or buying meat from those types of organizations. At the same time, people who are uncomfortable with Chinese individuals eating dogs, it is part of their culture, and what makes eating a dog different from eating a pig, for instance, right? And some people will say it has to do with intelligence, and I think it's an interesting debate. But I do want to hear from you guys. What do you think about this, Andy? Make your point.
Wow. I mean, I think we've deified our pets in America and probably most of Western civilization to a point where this is so repugnant and so horrific that we can't even stomach the idea of it, no pun intended. But, you know, when you practice moral relativity and cultural relativity and you try to say, well, that's just what they do, there's also cultures in the world, a lot more serious than this, that are that don't recognize rape, that stone women for showing their ankles. And I think that it's our job as a global society. Ew! I hate that word. But it's our job as people who have the ability to understand, you know, the science of like what is right or what is wrong in terms of you know, how we're treating something, to try and all together get on the page of progress and move on from this.
Yeah, I think you make a really good point about how a story like this will get viral traction, but a story about societies that don't recognize something as serious as rape don't get much media play at all. Erica, what do you think? Make your point.
I mean, I also think we may be paying attention to the wrong part of the story. For me, this was so beautiful because it's exactly what we want people to do. When they have a problem with something, when there is something that makes them uncomfortable or offends them, or that they really want to change about their society, this woman isn't just complaining. Yeah. She is doing something. She's doing something tangible, practical. She's invested her life in this. And so for me, regardless of where I stand on dogs and animals and Chinese culture and moral relativism, I think what's really beautiful here is that this is at its core a story about a woman doing something for a cause that she believes in.
Yeah, that's a really great point. I love the fact that she's not just complaining and she's doing something about it. Oftentimes when you're on social media, especially Twitter, it's all about complaining and it's all about outrage, but there's very little discussion about solutions. All right, so here's the question for the story. What's the craziest food you've ever eaten? Erica.
Okay, so this is not, I don't sound very cultured here. Like, I'm cultured in a lot of ways, I promise. But with food, I kind of like to eat things that I've eaten before and like them. So I think for me, the wildest thing was tongue, which is actually not that wild. And it was good. I have a problem eating things also that look like a body part that I actually have. So it didn't work out for me, but more power to the tongue lovers.
All right. What about you, Andy?
Oh my God, I've had food is, I mean, the world is a tasty place, my friends, first of all. Yes, and I've had cow heart, octopus, and like all kinds of crazy things. The weirdest thing that I ever ate was at a restaurant called Animal in Los Angeles, and it was fried pig ear and sliced real thin, sort of like tortilla strips almost. And it was really great until the last bite when I got a lobe, and all of a sudden it went from, sorry to gross you out, but it's true. It went from eating like these flavorful sort of pork rindy kind of tasting tortilla strips to like I'm chewing on someone's ear. You know?
Wow.
And I checked out after that.
I really want to try Animal. It's like one of
great.
the long-standing
Yeah, it's a
restaurants
fantastic
in
restaurant.
LA that has all sorts of unique things that you can try. I think the craziest thing I've eaten is I had crickets. I went to Andrew Zimmern's South by Southwest party. I don't even know how we got invited to that. Okay, it was absurd. And he had these little crackers with fried crickets on it, and it was really good.
Were they
tasted
good?
like they taste like potato chips.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Why not
I'll
just eat
try.
potato chips then?
Well, because you want to be adventurous. I'm an adventurous eater. I'll try anything at least once. But I want to know if you'll try anything at least once. What's the craziest food you've ever eaten? And more importantly, I do want to get a sense of what you guys think about this festival in China. Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? I think that it's a very fascinating debate when it comes to the issue of animals. Which type of animals are okay to kill for meat? Which type of animals are not okay to kill for meat? Comment in the section below. I love hearing from you guys, and we'll see you soon.